Hello, and welcome to another episode of Untraditionally Traditional, a podcast with me, Brittany Duncan, a Millennial Homemaker. Join me each week as I share all the things I've learned that make keeping your home, garden, and life running smoothly, all while working. If you are enjoying the podcast, please be sure to subscribe in your favorite podcasting app so you get the episodes downloaded straight to you every Monday. Now, on to today's episode. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Untraditionally Traditional, a Millennial Homemaker. This is your host, Brittany Duncan, and today I want to talk about how to entertain big groups, mainly with food. Think your family reunions, bachelorette trips, Friendsgiving, any time that you are going to have a group of people coming together for a weekend or a few days and you are trying to put together a meal plan and grocery list so that everybody is fed and happy. But before I get into that, I wanted to share my 3 favorite things of the week. And the first one is a favorite thing nearly every day because I wear them nearly every day, is the perfect vintage jeans from Madewell. These jeans and a jean jacket I have are by far the most worn pieces of clothing I have, both of which I thrifted, but I would pay full price for these jeans 1,000 times over because they're so perfect. They're a thicker denim, but they are stretchy and so comfortable. I can sit cross-legged in them. I've napped in them. I've taken long flights in them. They're just super comfortable and flattering on, but they have that look of like vintage thick denim. They're high-waisted. They look great on your butt. I can't say enough about them. So if you're looking for a new jean to try out, these are my new go-to after being a die-hard J. Crew denim lover for years. Second is a book called Fourth Wing. I just finished it, and it's outside of my normal reading genre. If you've read the ACOTAR or A Court of Thorns and Roses, I think that you'd really like them. But even if you haven't read those books, I really liked it. It's a great blend of adventure, suspense, fantasy, and like spicy romance. So check it out. I just started the second book in the series, so I'll report back on that. But the first one was great. The ending is fire. I loved it. Third favorite thing is quail. Never thought that I would say that, but if you follow me on Instagram at Untraditionally Traditional Pod, you'll know that Johnson and I recently rescued 5 quail. A neighbor was giving them away for free. She had a sign on her fence, and of course I just could not help myself. So talked to Johnson about it, and then we went to get them, and we're so glad we did, because when I say we rescued them, I really feel like we did. They were living in cages, and they didn't have like any habitat in their cage. It was just like a plain cage with water and food. And if you know anything about birds, they dust bathe. They need dust to be able to dust bathe in. Quail like to feel protected. They are largely ground birds, so they like having like sticks and little nooks and crannies to hide in and get under. So Johnson built me this great quail coop that attaches to our chicken coop. We put a sand bottom on it, and they can dust bathe. We've got sticks and like foliage in there that they hide under. And right away when we put them in there, they just went to town. They were so happy. They were dust bathing like crazy and chirping, and they started laying eggs right away, which I had read that typically when you move quail, it stresses them out. They're really shocked, and they'll usually stop laying for 2 weeks. Ours did not do that. They're so happy. So we feel really good about it. And then we've been getting these beautiful quail eggs. And for those of you that are like interested in the nutrition, like I am, so quail eggs are smaller. It takes about 3 to 4 eggs, quail eggs, to equal a chicken egg. But they have more protein per gram, as well as vitamin B12 and A and riboflavin, iron and selenium versus a chicken egg. And then they also have choline and omega-3 fatty acids, but at a lower rate than a chicken egg. But nutritionally, for the most part, they're actually more nutrient dense than a chicken egg. But here at the Duncan household, we get to have both. So it's been really fun. Okay. On to the main episode. Let's talk about hosting big groups. I was inspired to record this episode after attending a bachelorette party for a dear friend of mine, which was perfect. We had tons of food. The food was great. We had a meal plan. It was awesome. But one of the gals on this trip was telling us about this other bachelorette trip that she had attended that like honestly sounded a little bit like the bachelorette trip from hell for someone like me that is a foodie and gets like fearful about not having enough food. So this bachelorette party that she was on, in short, the food that was provided for this group of girls was a sleeve of bread, a jar of mayo, and some sliced like cold cut ham. Yeah, that's it. And so, yeah, she was like, yeah, after eating like ham sandwiches for every meal for 3 days, I was done. And I just cannot, I would have been, love all my friends dearly. I would have been out of there, or like I would have been door dashing for sure. There's no freaking way. So I wanted to talk about it on here. And you know what? If you're the kind of people that are like, oh, I didn't realize that you needed to provide more than that. Now you know. I don't mean to shame you. It's just you got to provide food for your group. So I'm going to dive into that today, how I do it, whether it's family or friends, different groups, whether you're doing a weekend, 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, the same logic of this plan will work. So what I recommend doing is having a rough meal plan. And I do it every summer, actually. So we do a family vacation that consists of 11 adults and 5 kiddos and counting. And what I do is I open up Google Docs and I put the dates of the trip broken out by day. And then under each day, I will write breakfast, lunch, and dinner. From there, I start mapping out the meals. And with my family, honestly, or like whenever I'm hosting something and having to figure out what meals are going to go on what day, I keep it pretty basic. You can count on one night being an Italian night. Think pasta and salad. Another night will be Mexican. Think American tacos. Another night will be Greek. A Greek. Think of like all the Greek salad fixings with chicken and rice and pita as options. And people can kind of build what they want. If they want like true pitas or gyros, they can make that. If they want a Greek salad, they can make that. On the first night of the trip, we'll usually do pizza night and order or you can do like oven baked pizzas, but it just allows everybody to grab a few slices as they come in the door. We're usually all arriving at different times, and that just allows us to like keep the pizza warm. There's something there whenever people come through the door. We'll also usually do a grill night, like burgers or sausages, that kind of thing, or a cheesesteak night. Go Birds. And what I like about this kind of approach is that it's pretty agreeable for everyone and that people can choose their own journey, so to speak. So if they're low carb, they can make a Greek salad and skip the pita. If the same could be done for Mexican night. If they don't want rice, maybe they do tortilla chips or whatever that is. There's a lot of like flexibility with those kinds of meals. And so you have all the fixings, and then, we cook up all the meat, we lay everything out, and it's kind of like an assembly line. People go through, they make their own plate however they want it, and there's lots of options that usually helps everyone, especially with kids. This works well. Maybe they just do some rice and cheese and the ground meat and skip the lettuce and cherry tomatoes and olives and all that kind of stuff. So different options there. I always get lots of spring mix or salad so that people have that option to make a salad for any meal, including lunches. So kind of moving away from dinner, those are like the dinner themes that we usually do. Lunches are usually a kind of a fend for yourself kind of deal, but I make sure that we have supplies to be able to do that. So sandwich fixings, your bread, your mayo, your mustard, cold cuts, cheese, and then also salad. So we'd have the spring mixes there, salad dressing. We always have different vegetables like for snacks and that we're going to use to cook those other meals. So cherry tomatoes, cucumbers, olives, those kind of things. So people always have the option to make a salad. And then there's a variety of snacks, but we usually have leftovers from the night prior too. And we try to get through those at lunches. So people basically have the option of like, there's leftovers. You can make yourself a sandwich. You can make yourself a salad. That's kind of the 3 lunch options. Breakfasts tend to be a big pot of scrambled eggs. We offer yogurt and granola, fruit, Bacon, which I always do in the oven, that's the best way to cook a bunch of bacon quickly and kind of like passively, right? Like you lay it all out on a baking sheet, you stick it in the oven, you don't have to think about it until it's done. Cleanup's a lot easier. You're not trying to use like 3 frying pans at the same time. So if you're doing a big group, highly recommend looking up how to cook bacon in the oven. We usually offer like toast, and then one of the mornings instead of toast, we'll do pancakes because it's fun. Everybody loves pancakes, right? And again, people choose their journey of what they want. If they just want to do like a parfait, they can do that. If they want to do scrambled eggs and bacon, they can do that. If they want to make a little breakfast taco, they can do that. Lots of options. Focusing on eggs, because I think this is important and something that is often overlooked, is that at a minimum, you need to have 2 eggs per person per day that you plan to serve eggs. And if you're scrambling them, I recommend always making at least 3 extra servings, because people always serve more when the eggs are scrambled. It's hard to like eyeball what 2 eggs worth of scrambled eggs really is, and it's less than you would think. And so people tend to eat more eggs if they're scrambled, so make sure you make some extra servings. And then when you're buying your eggs, make sure you're accounting for like any baking you plan to do or recipes that use eggs so that you have enough. I mean, it looks ridiculous when we start this family trip, like, oh my God, there's no way we're going to go through all those eggs. And we do every single time. My family, we also like eggs. So, got to get your protein in the morning. So as I'm doing this, right, I've got my each day of the trip, breakfast, lunch, dinner. I'm writing down the meals under each day. And as I'm doing that, I'm making a grocery list on the same document in 2 categories. I've got Costco and then a regular grocery. So if I write taco night on the meal plan, I'll go down to the grocery section and make sure that we have ground beef, hard taco shells, soft taco shells, lettuce, cheese, salsa, queso, rice, beans, cherry tomatoes, all the fixings that you would need for like an American taco night. And then as I'm adding meals, I'm making note of how many packages of things we need, right? So if I wrote down Italian night and I have ground beef on my list, and then I write down taco night and I have ground beef on my list again, I'm going to be like doing the math of, okay, how many pounds of ground beef do I need, right? Like if I've got Italian night and taco night, and if we're also going to make burgers, I've got to make sure that we have enough ground beef to get through those meals for my guest list. So I don't just write ground beef on my list, I write the number of pounds of whatever thing it is that I need. Same with like cherry tomatoes, if I'm going to offer those for salads at lunch, but also the Greek night and the taco night, I will probably get like 2 big things of cherry tomatoes. That kind of thing. And so those usually go on like the Costco order list, the bigger quantity things that I need. But then something like mayo, I'll get from the regular grocery store, right? I don't need a Costco size thing of mayonnaise. I'll include a snack section and a beverage section on the document, like separate from the day breakdown. I'll just have like a general snack and beverages. Snack-wise, I'll usually get a big box of the pop chips from Costco. I'll get a big watermelon, and then on the first day of that trip, I chop it up and into cubes, and I put it in a big Tupperware so that it's ready to go. If we go out on the boat, I grab that Tupperware. If we're sitting by the pool, I'll bring it out to make sure that it's getting eaten. But you want it to be ready, right? Like someone's got to take that initiative to chop the watermelon. Otherwise, it's going to sit on the counter until the second to last day of the trip, and you're not going to finish it. I'll get veggies and hummus, and then usually a thing of mixed nuts. And I know that doesn't sound like a lot, right? Chips, watermelon, hummus, and veg, mixed nuts. But when you think about what you eat on a regular basis, it isn't that many things. You do not need as many snacks as you might think that you need. And with big trips, with a lot of people, it can be tempting to go overboard, especially if you're doing your grocery shopping in person. You hit that snack aisle and you think you need 7 types of chips and cookies and candy and meat sticks and everything under the sun, when in reality you don't. So I tend to try to keep the grocery list as healthy as possible. My family across the board is very healthful, and so we're all pretty much on the same page for that. We have treats for sure. Like I'll always get popsicles for the kids, 100% fruit juice, so that they have a special treat for around the pool. We'll get some take and bake cookies. One, because y'all know I love a good take and bake cookie, but also they're, just nice at the end of the day when we're all cuddled up on sofas chatting inside. We'll turn the oven on and do those take and bakes, and it's just like a nice way to have like a little nightcap, so to speak, and bring out some warm cookies. Usually we do like a s'mores night one night because it's so fun. And then my twin brother's birthday usually falls during the trip, so we'll have a cake for them. And that is plenty of sweets to get through what is a short trip altogether. We usually have 5 full days. So my advice is to keep it simple, healthful, and to not go overboard. You, your friends, the kiddos, tummies, and tempers will be better for it. Once I've got that document complete, I've got the meals outlined, the grocery list made, I will send it out to the group and I ask for any additions or amendments. This gives parents that have children an option to add anything to the grocery list that they need or want for their individual families. I give a deadline for feedback, and then once we're close to the trip, a day or two ahead of time, I will use my go-to friend Instacart, and I place 2 orders, one to Costco and one to a regular grocery store for delivery an hour after we're set to arrive. This means that all of the grocery shopping is done. No family member has to spend an hour and a half running around in an unfamiliar grocery store and Costco. It's just done. It shows up to the doorstep of where we're going to be staying. We've already talked about everything that we're getting. We know what to expect. It's been the best method. And great, if you were doing an annual trip like we do have done this family reunion a few summers now, we reuse the same list. And during the trip, I make notes on it. So things we ran out of and needed more of, what we didn't actually end up using all of. Like, for example, some notes that I had from last year were that we need butter for cooking. Didn't think about it. You think about all these things that you're going to make, but I did not factor in like, oh yeah, you need butter for the pan or oil. We needed more paper towel and disposable plates and cutlery. And that's another side note and tip is to go ahead and use the disposable plates and cutlery. I know that they are not good for the environment, but listen, when you have 16 plates per meal, I don't think anybody in our family should be assigned to washing 16 plates, 11 coffee mugs or glasses, 32 pieces of cutlery every meal for the trip. No. We're using this method that is as low stress as possible so that every family member can enjoy their vacation. We go ahead and we get disposable. Easy peasy. Coffee mugs, we don't get disposable. We usually use the ones that the rental will have. And my sister-in-law, she usually brings wine glass markers so that we mark our coffee cups with them, because that's always a thing, right? You've got 11 adults drinking coffee around the same time, wrangling children, and all of the coffee cups are white and look exactly the same. You're dumping coffee left and right because you're like, I don't know if this is my coffee or not. So those little markers, that's another top tip. Love that my sister-in-law brings those. They're really helpful. Cooking-wise, my siblings and I have kind of like an unspoken routine that's always just worked. And each meal, more or less, like a different couple will take charge and cook. And then another couple will do the dishes. And we just rotate. And the unspoken rule is that you pitch in if you're able to, or you at least offer. And then if somebody cooked the last meal and they offer to help you, you thank them for offering, but encourage them to go relax so that, it's spread out. I'm fortunate to be one of 4 siblings. We all have fantastic in-laws. So my sister-in-laws are amazing. Johnson, my husband's amazing. And it's like all hands on deck. Nobody really sits out. So it's like a good rotation. And I found that the pre-planning route makes everybody feel that they had buy-in for what was purchased. They had buy-in for what the meal themes were. Everyone's good. They have an idea of what they're coming into for the trip, what it's going to take to make those things, what it's going to take, what it's going to cost. If you run a grocery list by the group that you're going to be splitting the financials of the grocery list with, it just goes a lot better. My siblings have always been really cool about picking up the alcohol portions of the grocery bill since Johnson and I don't drink. But honestly, like, we feel that's a personal decision and it's not something I expect them to do, but it's nice. So if you prefer the route of splitting up the grocery list and then each person shopping and bringing items, you can do that. Just try to be mindful about how you split those items and the costs of items, right? Like, I wouldn't just give somebody produce and then give somebody else all the meat. The meat's expensive, that kind of thing. So I prefer to put everything on my card and then just divvy it up later, because it ensures that like one person isn't getting the short end of the stick. But in other years, we've all like kept receipts and reconciled later. So that is an option. So in short, having a plan stops you from overspending and overbuying, especially if you're traveling to a destination where you can't take the leftovers with you. We try to buy what we'll think we'll use on that initial big grocery shop. And then if it turns out we need to do a mid-trip restock on a few things, we will. No big deal. So I hope this episode has been helpful for any of you that are planning food for a group. Remember that you will need more than one sleeve of bread, a jar of mayo, and some sliced ham. For the love, do not do that to your loved ones. Okay, thanks y'all. Until next Monday, happy homemaking, everybody. Thank you for listening to this episode of Untraditionally Traditional. If you enjoyed the podcast, please share it with those special people who would love it too, and write a review. For more tips and photos of my home and garden, follow Untraditionally Traditional Pod on Instagram. Until next week, let's continue to make our homes places of joy and service to ourselves and those we share them with.